Nethan, a merchant and adrenaline enthusiast, went through one of the most profound experiences a person can have, a near-death experience, the famous NDE. In this experience, after a violent impact, he felt as if he were being thrown out of his body, like he was simply disconnected from it. The surprise came when he discovered that he still existed, but felt lighter, with all of his senses significantly heightened. However, this would only be the beginning of what was to come when beings resembling angels came to meet him. What was strange to Nethan was that he had never been religious. Hello, I'm Marcus, and it's a pleasure to welcome you here at Beyond the Life We Live. I hope you feel at home and absorb the lesson from this story we're about to share. By the way, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as this is very important to us, helping us bring new and impactful stories to you. It all began on a Sunday afternoon. After a party with friends, Nethan decided to leave. Despite his friends urging him to stay the night, since he had consumed a lot of alcohol, he refused and decided to go on. Nethan knew he wasn't in his best condition, but still, he felt confident enough to face the trip home. The party had taken place in a neighboring city, 27 miles from his house, meaning a highway trip would be necessary. Upon entering the highway, Nethan remembered feeling alive, at the peak of his life. With the wind in his face, he accelerated his motorcycle and kept going like that for at least 12 miles when the unexpected happened. The tire burst and he was thrown onto the road. Despite the gravity of the situation, he was amazed that he wasn't hurt. However, when he looked back, there was the shock. Next to his motorcycle was his body, in a dire condition. At that moment, he realized something was seriously wrong, but he couldn't feel despair, only a sense of liberation, as if he had emerged from a cocoon. His hearing and vision expanded greatly, as if now he was the wind, and the wind was him. Yet he still looked the same. At that point, something began pulling him upwards, and automatically he was taken into a tunnel of light, where he landed in a mountainous region that he couldn't quite identify whether it was a coastal cliff or a desert. The colors there resembled a cloudy day, with the sun hidden. Soon, beings of light came into his presence, asking him if he had strayed from what he had promised himself. Confused, Nethan asked what exactly he had promised. After all, despite feeling irresponsible, he still saw himself as a 26-year-old, which was normal for that age. Then he began being taken to a place far from there, and during that transition, he noticed that the place he had been in was still very close to Earth, though in some unknown state, yet sharing the same space as ours. During the journey, he realized that now he resembled more of a light than a body. The most shocking thing was seeing that, along with him, thousands of other lights were on the same path, forming a multi-lane road where everyone respected each other's direction, something very organized. Some were heading towards Earth, others towards the place he was going, and others curiously venturing much farther away. Nethan wondered who or what could be responsible for such structure and organization. After all, what he was seeing resembled a society, but on a much larger scale. It was as if humanity had modeled itself after their way of life, rather than the other way around. Unlike the first journey, which took him through a tunnel to the mountainous region, this one was smooth and took only a few minutes. Upon arrival, the shock. There was a city where everyone lived their lives as normal people. There were children, adults, elders, and even animals. Questioning how all of this was possible, he walked alongside these other lights, which he now confirmed were people, until someone greeted him. The first thing Nethan noticed was that this man, appearing to be about 35 to 40 years old, seemed like a regular person, but emitted something that made him feel happy and at ease. It felt like meeting his best friend after a long time apart. Strangely, he didn't feel homesick or a desire to return to Earth, nor did he miss his family and friends, something he only realized later. As he talked with this man, he questioned what it all meant, and the man promptly replied that this was where the true us resided. Confused by this answer, Nethan asked again what that meant, and he received the following explanation.
What you call life is a cycle of evolution that we choose to face. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and we are part of what will solve it. This involves the need to live experiences until reaching this point. However, the path those lights are taking isn't the one proposed. There are many deviations, which is why we must be over them so they can achieve their purpose.
Nethan then realized that the life he had been living wasn't quite what was expected. After all, he didn't even take care of his own health. So he asked why, living such an out-of-the-ordinary life, he had ended up there, instead of in something resembling hell, considering that if this good place existed, the other side likely did too. He received the following response.
Understand something, Nethan. Where you were before coming here is where many negative feelings dwell. However, we rescued you when your purpose was still reachable. Outside of that, those who fail deal with their own pains in those places before eventually returning to their true essence here.
Nethan asked if he had died for good, and the man said no, but that his connection to his body was severely damaged, and at that moment he was undergoing a delicate test that would determine if he would stay or return. Feeling enormous guilt for having caused this to himself, he immediately felt the need to return and fulfill this supposed purpose. So he asked the man what his purpose was, and who set the rules for everything, both there and on Earth. The man replied, saying that life itself was the purpose, to fight for it as long as possible, in the best way possible, and to help others whenever possible, so that everyone could reach what they had been seeking for so long. At that moment, Nethan felt something begin to pull him, and he heard the man say,
Your time has come. You need to return. I wish you luck, for your return will not be easy.
When Nethan asked if he would remember everything they had talked about, the man said that not everything could be taken back, as it was too heavy a burden, but much of what they had discussed would remain as a memory, so he wouldn't give up on life, something that seemed to be his choice in the future. As Nethan felt himself leaving the place, he quickly asked one last question.
My friend, I want to remember you. Can I know your name?
Just like you, I've had many names. We've fought together for a long time. We've always been together, and in the future, we'll meet many more times. A hug from your loyal friend, Jeliel.
After the accident, years passed. Nethan went through a complicated recovery, having sustained multiple fractures throughout his body, and today, one of his lungs is impaired. However, more than ever before, he now has a will to live and questions every day what that man meant with that farewell. What frightens him is that Nethan was never religious, and still isn't, as he believes many religions are limiting. However, upon searching for Jeliel on Google, the surprise in understanding Christian history, he discovered that this name appears in several instances.
The angel Jeliel is a figure mentioned in the Holy Bible. He is one of the guardian angels and is known for his protection and spiritual guidance. The angel Jeliel acts as an intermediary between God and humans, conveying divine messages and assisting in times of difficulty. It is believed that he is always present, offering protection and spiritual guidance.